we're back. It's cheesin' time here at the World Championship Series for StarCraft here in Montreal, Canada, as we wind down and get through now to our second half of the round of 16. I'm your host, Nathanius, and I am joined once again by Zombie Grub and Fear Dragon as we make our way to a nice little match here. We've got Haas going up against Time. Fear Dragon, I know you're pumped for this one. We all love watching Haas play.
Not everyone loves watching Haas play. I know that there are some people, some people even just directly beside me that really hate Haas playing. But I'm a big Haas fan. You know what? I think that he is a breath of fresh air in the StarCraft 2 meta.
Is he though, Zombie Grub?
Is he though? No, I'm just kidding. But Fear Dragon's not wrong. I am actually like, everyone loves fun games, all right? We just talked about that for like Scarlet and Jadone, right? But it's that thing where I'm like, yeah, but like then he meets Cyril and he gets slapped down. So is that the finals that we want, guys? I don't know. So
or is this the redemption arc where he slaps down Cyril?
Nope, that's not the world we live in.
Arc.
Gonna get that Time Infinity Stone, rewind that if that happens. So
you will go back in time to stop Haas from making it to the grand finals if you have
He's gonna
to.
knock out Time first. The Time Infinity Stone is gone after he wins this match.
Oh yeah,
we're unintentionally punning.
Okay, we've talked ourselves into a bit of a pretzel there as we are getting ready for this next match. Now, everybody knows Haas, our Taiwanese Protoss player, did extremely well in Valencia all the way to the finals. Every single match, everybody's like, of course I can beat Haas. He can't macro. He can only cheese, and then he top-decked and wrecked Special Kellers, Inertio, and Showtime on his way up to the grand finals, and had a great run. No one expected it.
You know what that name didn't list, though?
A laser?
No. Time. He's never actually beaten Time, so...
If you say that his time has come.
Has come.
Oh my god. We could go on forever for this, wouldn't we?
No, but to be fair, that stat, it's over exactly 6 games, 4 of which I think are from 2017.
Yes.
And only 2 of which are from this year. So, and that was like January this year. So, you know what? A lot of time has passed since then.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So we got to see Time play yesterday. Did extremely well, puns aside. Clean play out of him. It was. I mean, I don't really know a crazy amount about him, but he was able to make it his way this far. And we don't, frankly speaking, have a crazy amount of Terrans to cheer for in the WCS arcade. It's usually very Zerg heavy for good reason. We've got a lot of very good Zergs in Europe that all practice and bounce off of each other. All the Zerg role models, all the European role models are Zerg. It's not fair.
They are. Not to hog the desk a little bit too much, but like I did get a cast a decent amount of time. He plays in a lot of Korean tournaments. And he kind of, to me, he seems to be like most other Terrans, honestly, that want to at least replicate the Koreans to a certain extent. So I do expect, you know, maybe a little bit of for the GSL, maybe it was a bit of foreshadowing that could happen here. But it's not TVP, it's TV. Haas, right? So Time has got to be mentally prepared for that. It seems that he's played against him enough to at least know a little bit. It is kind of a cool matchup as well, being Taiwan versus China, as Chinese players typically have not done too well, but...
All right, we're going to bring the players out onto the stage so you can meet the members of our next Cheese Fest. We've got Smix up there. It's time for Time and Haas.
Definitely a lot of cheese today. I can't wait to see what kind of shenanigans we'll be witnessing in this next upcoming match. But as you guys have mentioned, it is time for the second half of this round of 16 bracket. We'll see if our Valencia runner-up is a has-been or not. Please welcome, it is Time and Haas.
Certainly hoping he's not become a has-been.
That was pretty genius.
This will be the most punny series, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't get too much worse than this. We got Haas, who locked himself into the global finals, a runner for WCS Valencia. He is known as one of our architects of StarCraft, architects of cannon rushing and cheese. And Time, well, Zombie, you seem to know everything about Time, so I'm just going to pass it to you.
I am the only person that knows anything about Time. Yeah, just echoing the same statements. It's going to be difficult because Haas is apparently, like, he's going to be a better player than he was in the beginning of 2017, the last time these guys played. So I am actually kind of favoring Haas, but I want a continued Terran. I want that Chinese presence in the round of 8 would be kind of awesome for first time in a long time. So,
which is something we haven't really talked that much about. There really haven't been many Chinese players that have made it into the playoffs, if any.
Yep.
And to make it into the round of 8 would be huge, I think, for all the Chinese scenes. But at the same time, I want to say, like, there's something a little bit different about, I know that there have been all these offline events in China and stuff that Time has played at, but playing in front of a foreign crowd in a foreign city, you don't get the food that you normally would want to eat. Like all the things just feel a
lot
little
of
bit
small
off.
details.
A lot of small details really do make it a little harder, and Haas is more prepared.
All right, let's find out if Time has what it takes to take down Haas. Let's go. It's Time versus Haas.
All right. An action-packed match here as we have Time versus Haas. It's going to be a great Protoss vs. Terran match. I am Pig. Joining me is In Control.
I think these guys might have two of the worst names to commentate at the same moment.
Yeah, this is
Time and Has. Are you kidding me?
It's going to be punny or cringeworthy or probably a little bit of both.
Well, either way, in the top left-hand side, as the blue Protoss, it's Has.
Has he got what it takes? We're starting early. Let's get them out of the way before the hype starts.
Oh, they're going to be out there.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side, in the red, the Terran player. He is Time.
Last time we commentated these guys, I didn't realize how much I would say Time until you commentate Time, and then you're like, well, holy cow.
Yeah, I
say it a lot.
You know, there's those names, Probe, whenever I'm commentating him.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many times you talk about the workers until you actually commentate Probe, and then it gets really awkward really fast. Thankfully, Haas is pronounced a little bit differently to Has, so we can get around that. And personally, this is a series I'm just so excited for, because we've been talking so much about Haas's run at Valencia, and he kind of tricked his opponents out over and again.
Yep.
But his Protoss vs. Terran especially is something I was completely fascinated by. I've spent a while studying it. He did a lot of these builds where he'd alternate between doing kind of like cutting probes, getting the fastest proxy robo or Stargate out, and going crazy aggressive. Or he'd make it look like that, and he'd just expand and play defensive Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he'd alternate between these two, and it was hard to get a read. And we can see Time is sort of trying to preempt this by actually playing a delayed expansion into a very, very fast factory.
And that's always kind of I want to call it a trap, but it remains to be seen if it is a trap. But it's one of the ways that a player like a Has makes you fall away into his game.
You stop playing too safe?
If he's out on the map being aggressive and I can just get, I don't know, a Cyclone or a Liberator or anything even in that mineral line, I can just win the game. But very often, that kind of chaotic, scrappy game is exactly where Has wants you to go. And the tough thing is, it's not like you don't do that then, right? It's not like you go, well, if that's the case, then I'll never be aggressive. No, you can't do that either. It's just that Has reduces the game into these weird times and moments, and then is the more experienced player.
Yeah, he is just so good at that. And I mean, you can see Haas has actually checked everywhere for proxies with that probe. He's making sure that in this current meta where Terrans love to build their buildings on the other opponent's side of the map, he's not going to do that. But Haas is actually playing somewhat defensive and a little bit safe in response to Time's very strange opening. He's actually gone robo into Twilight behind this. And as this Adept Shade in, he sees there is an expansion ready, and he's just going to take out a few SCVs, but really hasn't seen the tech yet. He's just seen a few Marines and Hellions, and he's got to be wondering, what's next? Is it a Widowmine drop? Is it Cloaked Banshees? Doesn't quite have that information.
Yeah, I think everything he saw is pretty vanilla, very plain. Now back at his home, and that's where my eyes are glued, because he can go anywhere. He can just be one thing for a second, then it immediately turns to something else. You can see he's immediately kind of posturing in case it is some kind of Hellion run by. The Twilight Council is finished. There's nothing queued up just yet, so that has me thinking Dark Shrine. Could, of course, still be anything else. He does have that robo for the drop.
He hasn't even built an observer yet with that robo, has he? So, I mean, there are 3 more gateways coming down already. Is there a prism out yet? I don't think there's anything. And he's just going into a DT shrine. So Haas is he's opening up his tech and his production, but he hasn't really committed to a lot of units. And Time is preparing here. 6 Marines and a Widowmine about to drop into this main base. 2 Stalkers are quick to react, microing forwards. The Hellions are going to try and dive in the base at the same time. But just creating a big problem here is Time. He's trying to get a lot of damage. Those Hellions blocked off. Complete wall off on the natural. Great response there by Haas. And these Stalkers are going to micro this down steadily.
Yeah, and the Medivac is quite low in health. He's not shooting it now, strangely, as it's like a huge target. There we go. And he does get it. And with that Observer out, he actually is going to take 0 damage from that Widowmine. Of course, as I stated, for some reason, he leaves it like 3 health. And the damage is coming through a little bit.
Yeah.
But was the Dark Shrine even scouted?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern here. These Marines are just not dying. Finally, they go down. Those Hellions have actually been killing a few probes over the gateways.
Oh, it does get scouted.
Okay, has spotted that, and there's a Raven already almost out anyway, so not a bad pressure for time, simply because he occupied so much mining time there, took out a few units, and behind it, remember, he's had an expansion, he's going into Marines and tanks, he's just going to try and lock himself down on 2 bases, and whenever you're looking at a Terran who's only down a couple of workers, and the Protoss hasn't even started an extra base, that's good for the Terran. Those mules add a lot to your income.
Absolutely. And with this Raven out, the strategy that has been kind of leveraging for a while here, should it be shut down? And it is a full wall in, by the way, so when the War Prism occupies itself by going across the map, and as Pig pointed out, I don't think there's a probe outside unless he just ferried one over. But without that being the case, there is no option actually for a third base for a while here.
Yeah, that Stalker cute move does block the Hellions in, and here we go, DT drop coming across the map. Raven, Viking, and a few Marines in the main base. There's a siege tank there as well. So it looks like it's going to be a DT in the main and the natural at the same time. Since there's no turrets, the Raven can't cover both sides at once. The Observer spotted that out. Haas going to start creating some big problems here for our Chinese Terran player. DT drops on top of those Marines. The siege tank unable to fire next to itself. The tank on the low ground, it's taking huge damage. It's going to go down. And the other DT has already been evacuated to safety.
And now it's in the natural mineral line, so it does actually get cleaned up by that bunker, but getting a tank and a few SCVs and a couple of Marines there and scouting out everything he's facing is kind of hilarious, because I did not expect that to happen, considering there was a Raven and time has seen this coming for a long time.
It happened. It's all right, Jeff. I'm here for you. I guarantee you by the end of this series, you're going to do something worse than that.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. The DTs are just going to kind of go back, break out of his wall in. The hot problem in Haas's build up here is no third base. He's going up to 8 gateways, charge, immortals, and a forge. So it definitely looks like he'd like to make a 2-base attack work. There's probably going to be a third Nexus, but I can't imagine Haas ever goes past about 50 or 55 workers in this game.
Yep, there is that third Nexus right there, as you called out, but there's something we've seen from him is like a low upgrade. We see armor being upgraded there, but it's late, and then just a huge army that kind of capitalizes on a move out or a third base attempt from time. Now, as we can see so far, it's him that wants to be the aggressor off that Raven. It says, hey, your DT tech didn't do much. If I push out with a big Marine tank army, I should have the upper hand.
Oh, look at that. That DT just completely unafraid comes in, realizes, of course, that Raven is not at home, but a scan will go down, and the Marauder and the Marine are going to take down that Dark Templar just barely.
Viking gonna land inside the main mineral line. It actually could take out that Stalker. It's gonna be really close now.
Oh no, that could cause a big
problem.
problem for sure. Widowmine's tanks, Ravens, Marines, and Marauders up in the third at the same time here. Charge is not finished just yet. The third has to be cancelled. And finally, that main base Viking did get cleaned up, but it got a Stalker and 3 Vikings. Nice damage. And you know what? You see that there's Zealots here. You see there's Sentries. As time, you realize this army is going to be very powerful in the near future, but it doesn't quite have the pieces together. The Sentries and the Immortals all got locked down by the Interference Matrix. There's an auto-turret zoning as well. Time is all over this.
And the Warp Prism dies kind of for free here as well. He's on top of the infrastructure, is time. And with that anti-armor missile, the just meat of this army is not there. The Immortal will get the tank. And it looks like with that warp, there's a good chance that this will get pushed back, but canceling the third, killing 2 gateways, and taking a good chunk of the army while surviving with these units, I think is a very big victory for time here.
Yeah, as Haas, you don't really have a lot of units that shoot up, and time can take advantage of that. He's like, yeah, what? You're not even zoning me with Stalkers? All right, I can just drop back in there, because there's so few units that shoot up, and that gives massive maneuverability to the Terran. He's starting to split drops off on all sides. He's got his own third base built on location behind this. So time is just going from a very good position to a let's just tick off all the boxes and secure the win.
He's going to make sure he sees that there is no third base. This medevac flies by the spot that would be another third base, sees nothing, and is now going to make its way to the main base. I think there's some Widow Mines inside here. Yep, it's actually just one of the stranger drops you'll ever see in this tournament, but it is effective as the Widow Mines are going to plant, and any economic damage to has at all right now is massive. As you pointed out, the third base for time is getting saturated right now. There are mules, he's way up in supply, and there just doesn't seem to be any answer for all the stuff flying around here.
Yeah, there's just nothing to deal with this. The drop hits the natural. At the same time, a Widow Mine has been blocking that new third base location.
And the natural.
Ah, disaster here.
I think the Raven's still there too.
Yeah, that Raven actually is still hiding up in the dead space, ready to harass whenever it feels like it, as well as bring in detection to deal with those Dark Templar. And that's it. Hassia not able to find the damage he was looking for early on. Time with a very interesting opening. Confused Haas. Haas was not sure how to respond and has to tap out of game number 1.
Tell you what, you come away from that game and you think Time has an understanding of what kind of playstyle has. Sorry, my whole brain just erupted just saying has. But anyways, he was prepared at every level. He kind of knew that it was going to be like a slow, light harassment, scouty type opening. Has handled it okay, but the strategy that he was going for was scouted, defended, deflected, and then just a very nice mid-game push coming out from Time was all it really took. Has is that really crazy player that leverages like a single idea to the umpteenth degree. He'll take it up to 11, and if you don't prepare and probably over-prepare for it, you will just flat out die, and he's going to do it really well. But Time, at every turn there, was prepared and made Has look a little bit silly. More than usual, I would say.
Yeah, it was. I feel like Has had it in his head that there was a building on his side of the map and was a little bit afraid of it. We saw him go very fast robo. He was scouting for the corners with the probes, occupying, a lot of his attention with that, and then didn't really use that robotics for a while. He built the Twilight, which also did not get used for quite a while, and then instead decided to wall off with gateways. So we saw a Has who is very uncharacteristically the indecisive player. Normally he's the super decisive one. He likes to be the actor, not the reactor. He doesn't like to be on the defensive trying to scout and respond to his opponent. But Time kind of put him in that position. So if this is the sort of style Time is going to go with, I want to see Has just do something crazy. I want to see him say, look, I'm not going to respect the fact that you're trying to go for a fast factory or you're hiding your buildings. I'm just going to commit to my very fast, proxy Stargate or proxy Robo. I don't think he can afford to second guess himself like he did in game one.
One of my favorite things about watching Has play is the complete lack of self-awareness. Like, just as a person, when you look at him, he looks like he's super, super deep in thought. And he is, to be fair. I'm not saying that he's not deep in thought, but in his head, it's like, is it DTs? Is it cannons? Cannons into DTs? Do I do proxy Immortal, proxy Tempest? No, not Tempest. DTs into Tempest? It looks like he's like considering the greater numerations of the world. Nice shirt, by the way, that guy right there. Wow. What a handsome devil.
I gotta get myself one of those.
Yeah, everyone should. Thank you guys for joining us. By the way, this is an awesome day. We're just is this the halfway mark? Is this the 4th or 5th match?
Yeah, we're somewhere around that halfway point. I think we might be just starting the second part of the day. So yeah, it is of course the round of 16. We're doing all of the top 16 round of 16 today. Tomorrow we get a action-packed day where it's the quarterfinals, the semis, and the finals to round it all off. So,
well, even today ends with, in my opinion, probably the best match of the round of 16. It's going to be Raynor versus Neeb to just be the last match. And I mean, hopefully it lives up to the hype. But as far as potential matches go, the 16-year-old that is just trashing everybody and playing really well versus Neeb, of course, who just had he top 4 GSL, one of the best finishes we've ever had, almost made the finals.
It's a rematch of their GSL match as well to add to it. So, that's definitely going to be really exciting. And we've had a lot of very interesting matches to get there. I've been keeping my eye, of course, on Lambo's storyline evolve as he has just looked so good in his games. He has looked so strong. But these two players are two of our question marks. Has, the runner-up from the last tournament, but we don't just automatically say, yeah, he's automatically going to achieve that same result again. It's tough to do that, but both players are coming out swinging so far, and we're about to launch into map number 2.
And here we go. In the lower left-hand side, needing your support to claw back into the series, it's the Blue Protoss Has.
And up here in the top right-hand side, in the red, the Terran player. Give it up for Time.
Nice seeing this form from Time. I love what Rubby was talking about at the analyst desk. We haven't had a Chinese player make a super deep run. Even Haz's run at the previous WCS was a big deal for Taiwan. So it's really cool seeing these other regions kind of rise up and send some of these champions further into the tournament.
And fascinating build to start out here by Time. It's looking like it's going to be a Marauder rush, I think. Oh, maybe not. Double gas back at home, actually. And is just a proxy barracks here. Oh, that probe is so close, but it's gone away.
It goes elsewhere, too.
I mean, I was going to say, this, you'd never check there. No one proxies there. We saw Showtime, of course, earlier, and a few other players with these very advanced scouting paths looking for where the proxies might lie. But the Terrans are adjusting on the fly as well. They're saying, look, I'm going to put it somewhere where no one else has put it before. And it's very hard to identify. Has just expanding here. He doesn't know about the fact the barracks is on his side of the map. He's about to find out as that probe enters Terran territory, and seeing that depot, he's immediately going to go, oh, okay, something weird's going on. He's going to see workers mining on both casters, and alarm bells are going to start ringing. The Zealot starts up at home for Haas. A second pylon will have to go down immediately as well, so he doesn't get too supply blocked here. And it's all going to be about the micro. That's actually a forward factory. That's a very, very close factory.
Yep, the new world of Terran is you just build your base all over the map and use it that way. The salt in the wound, of course, of not scouting that is that you get a later scout on the main base, and then you usually don't re-scout where you already went. So it's very likely that all of this goes fairly unscouted. Now, Zealot's going to play guard duty and just try to chase off that Reaper, but already 2 probes have died, and it very well is going to be a third and possibly even more.
That's a big mess up here from Askew. Oh, he gets the surround. A little bit of revenge there. He lures him into a false sense of security by not microing at all until the last moment when that Reaper overstepped. Still not a bad Reaper. 3 probe kills this early is definitely very impactful. Another one does come in. And that Zealot has gone off to try and find the barracks, and that's going to give this Reaper an opportunity to get even more damage done. This Stalker took forever to get back up here. Haas being way too greedy trying to get that Stalker out of the map so early on.
Now here's the worst part. The Zealot's actually going to where the barracks was, finds nothing, and very often that's where the factory and starport would have been.
Yeah.
But time is tearing a page and perhaps a whole chapter out of Haz's book.
Oh, the Cyclones come out. It's already starting to shoo away these Stalkers. Good micro by Haas so far, though. Look at that micro on those Stalkers. The one on the left does end up taking a little bit too much damage, but the one on the right there holding on for it. And now it is going to get itself into a corner, though, if Haas doesn't watch out. And it does end up going down. The Zealot almost gets the Cyclone. Oh, a misclick from Time there. Accidentally paths it to the north, losing it to a Zealot. Big mistake.
Yep, not good. He also didn't get that Stalker. As you can see it shows up with the red health. But it is going to go ahead and finish the job that its brethren started. The Zealot's still getting some wailing hits, though, on that Cyclone. A lot of damage that's pretty unnecessary, as it's going to be very wounded again. And now with the medevac, it's not nearly as scary. One already died, and the other one's super wounded.
Yeah, this Cyclone, the only thing keeping it alive is the ability for that medevac to pick it up and dodge the Stalker projectiles. Notice how Time actually picks it up just before the Stalker shots connect, and then immediately redrops it. This is very ballsy micro. If he messes that up even once, it'll go down.
This is your new world of StarCraft, where 2 guys are cheesing the heck out of each other right now, trying to get deeper into this tournament. Now, with the second Cyclone showing up, this becomes really, really scary, but he's going to get the medevac, so there's no micro ability here. And everything I just said is basically null and void. You got 1 full health one, and now a Liberator coming out, but those Stalkers can juggle back and kind of alternate between the 2, and one's just 1 shot away from dying.
I really like Haas's focus on Stalkers and extra gateways here, because that's exactly what he needs. It's just enough Stalkers to stutter step away from the Cyclones and engage them, and also to deal with that Liberator, but he hasn't spotted the Liberator, and we're going to see these Cyclones poke the front while the Liberator sieges up the main mineral line. The Stalkers all respond to the main, but that allows the Cyclones to run in the natural at the same time.
3 Stalkers actually peeled off, though, and smartly responded there, and actually by relocating with the Liberator, he's going to lose it essentially for free. And with the War Prism coming out, I think the tides are about to turn, where all of a sudden Haz is going to say, how's your defense back at home? Because I'm coming at you.
And this Cloak Banshee starting up, and that Starport remaining hidden is very important, but the War Prism might catch a glimpse of it. No, not going to get it. That's really unfortunate, because Haas needs to know that he needs shield batteries and, of course, observers at home. In the meantime, though, Time's bunker is not ready. Time has very few units. Expanding to this low ground, a little bit too ballsy. There's no way you can get that up. Already 1 Cyclone going down. He's pulling SCVs to the front, but there's just no units here.
The other Cyclone dies for free. It's very wounded, was not repaired. There's nothing to even go in the bunker anyways, had it finished. And these Stalkers are going to rampage up there. Now, a Banshee is going to pop out fairly soon, but there's just nothing back at home. It's going to be a couple of Marines, if that, and a single Marauder. But with the Warp Prism, the micro ability here is tremendous for Haz.
That's the problem with building your units from the opponent's side of the map. At some point, you've got to float that production home, and when it's floating home, it is not producing. So if he had another minute or 2, Time would have been very strong. But here in this moment, it looks like he's just being overwhelmed. Their CV is being pulled off the line. The Marines actually focus firing the low hit point Stalkers. Very good micro from Time. But this is a mathematical problem that Micro cannot solve.
He tried his best he could. Widowmine's going to plant down, gets a decent shot off right in the middle of all the Stalkers. And had there been anything else to do something about it, but nice. Now the Banshee back at home is doing some damage, but there already is still the Observer. That's going to be it. This series is tied up at 1 apiece as Haz strikes back.
Not that easy time. It looked like it was going well for the Terran player in the early stages, but Haz, he stabilizes there, gets out a good group of Stalkers, and calmly ties up the series.
It's just, yeah, I love Haz. And right now he's going, all right, you're going to proxy me? Well, I'll show you what a proxy looks like. And we're all waiting for it to happen, right? It was actually at Valencia where he did bust out some really crazy proxy builds to beat Special, one of the best Terrans in the entire scene. And even at this tournament, I don't have the names in front of me, but he beat a couple Terrans again. Like, he's not
I think he like 2-0'd Clem.
Something, yeah, I think it was something like that. He's not facing easy opponents and getting spoon-fed these results. He's actually beating very good players, and he's doing it to the beat of his own drum. He's a very weird player, very anti-meta, but there is a place for that in StarCraft, and it makes for exciting games and fun, if not frustrating for our poor pro gamers.
Of course, the next map is going to be Lost and Found, and that was Time's preference there. So up to now, Time won his map of Dreamcatcher, and Tass won his map choice of Blue Shift. So Lost and Found is going to be the next one. In the vetoes, we did see Acid Plant vetoed by Time, a map with a lot of kind of space across it, but also a lot of places to hide things. And Parasite, the biggest map in the pool, vetoed by Haas. No surprise there, I guess. He seems to enjoy the shorter maps. Blue Shift, of course. Cerulean later on as well, we'll get to when we do make it through to map 4. But interesting to see what Haas does. I've been thinking a lot about this conundrum of the buildings being built on your side of the map as the Protoss player. There's that proxy gate build. I've been thinking about, how does that do? If your opponent's barracks isn't at home, surely they're going to struggle with some very early Stalkers pushing up your ramp. You're going to have your own Zealot and then an Adept or a Stalker at home as well. I'm very curious to see someone commit to that. But funnily enough, even though that's a very aggressive build, that's like the mainstream Protoss versus Terran aggressive play. And Haas very rarely plays the mainstream one. He does the proxy Robo. He might do a proxy Stargate or do some sort of, very fast Zealot Stalker pressure into proxy DT. Very rarely will he go for that.
Kind of interesting to add to your theory crafting you're doing there as well is if you're going to do a cannon rush or some kind of proxy play, but you think the Terran player will do it as well, it just adds that little extra element of I'm not sure. I don't know. Like the Reaper shows up before Stalkers do, of course. If you're double gateway because you have one at home and one out on the map, and they build their whole base up there, it just gets to a weird place. And I think that might be a little bit of the hesitation that we're seeing from our Protoss players. But one guy that doesn't usually hesitate is in this match here, and he's in the top right-hand side. The blue Protoss, it's Haz. Deep in thought. Cannons are Dark Templar.
And his opponent down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, no doubt also considering what options he and his opponent have. The red Terran player, hailing from China, he is Time.
There's 2 probes on the map, Pig, and with those 2 probes, they carry 1/2 of my heart each. Because it's cannons.
It's Lost and Found, buddy. This is the best cannon map. And when he did this against Special back in Valencia, he actually hid the first pylon out of vision. And then kind of threw down a bunch of cannons. And Special didn't check for it, and that's why it worked so well. Let's see. Does he show the probe? Yeah. So this probe's going to come. Oh, he's just going to go straight for it. Don't even pretend to be coy. He's just going to go straight away, stops the wall off from going down in the normal position with that second pylon. It also, of course, provides high ground vision, and he wants to keep this probe up here so that he can spot the high ground. SCV is being pulled off the line, but there's no way to stop those cannons going up on the low ground.
And I'll tell you what, it has begun. 2 cannons are underway. The barracks, of course, right there. Now, I do kind of like the decision to go after that pylon. The unfortunate thing here is there's a probe in your main base that can just keep dropping pylons for that spotting, no problem at all.
Yeah.
And he needs to probably drop a couple of pylons because if he can't see the high ground, there's nothing to shoot. And that would be the way that Time defends is building the bunker behind us. So far, I like his idea, but I think that pylon's always going to finish.
Yeah. He gets the probe. That's massive. No more cannons able to go down here on the high ground. Now, you might think, well, cannons aren't that big if there's a bunker finished and they could just shoot it while the cannons are building. But it is. It is a problem. That's only 1 Marine. 1 Marine has about as much firepower as a worker. It's really not that much. This probe just going to commit hard.
He gets it. another one immediately after, of course.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, by fighting the probe, you're actually losing out on time against these cannons. So
yeah,
all of a sudden, probably one, if not two, are going to finish here.
I'm surprised he isn't actually targeting the pylon, but I get it, because obviously another one can just be put down there as well, even though it is already heavily damaged. These Marines trying to figure out a way to do this. He's still trying with that Marine on the right-hand side to stop that probe getting in there, but the probe survives. It's going to come back in for another round of cannons. It is got to be very afraid as another Marine is about to pop out. It pops out. Time's going for the snipe, but he gets it. Snatches that last probe, and at least that will be the end of the cannons in time space, but his barracks goes down. He has to build a brand new one. He's going to lose the other depot up there as well.
He's supply blocked. He's going to lose the other depot. He's just now building one. It's going to finish just before.
He's going to lose vision of that depot, actually. And he doesn't have another probe, so that depot is going to survive. So he is going to hold on. Worker count is tied. Has committed a crazy amount to this, but there's no command center. I think it's even. I have no idea who's ahead here. This is one of those scenarios
right now, and
yeah, this is weird.
Not sure. Has though, then that's the kind of thing to talk about with this. A weird opening like this. Has plays this kind of game 30 times a day, and I'm not really okay. Maybe it's a slight exaggeration. Let's call it 10 times a day. Everybody else, it's 10 times a year that Time faces this kind of thing. So it's just crazy how it puts the game into that weird spot, and it asks Time to improvise, to implement new ideas and to execute off of them, whereas Has is practiced, he's versed, he knows what works here. Now that doesn't always lead to a win, but the point is, Time is in a scary spot.
And there's a proxy getting ready for Haas. And with 2-gate Stalker at home already, I wouldn't mind just a proxy gateway and go across with a big push, but he's actually forgotten Warp Gate, or he's going proxy Stargate. This is a calculated choice to skip out on that Warp Gate research there by Haas.
Yeah.
Cyclone pokes in and says, okay, you're still on one base. I'm expanding. But lots of Stalkers on the way, and there'll be Oracles added in. Of course, the bunker has to go down. Now, Time is doing well. He's exerted pressure. He's scouted no expansion.
Right.
He's got some nice, valuable tech units. But in these games, what does Terran lose out on? It's the extra production and those bio upgrades. They get delayed a long time. It's like, hey, we've got 2 barracks, but neither has an add-on. Neither has Stim or combat shields on the way, and he's actually going to move out with a lot of the army right now.
And the scary thing here will be, Has is going to see that there's little to no army at that natural. And then the question is going to be, does he recall back, or does he even have the ability to recall back? Because as Pig pointed out, there will be no warp in. So the units back at home are your units to defend this. And Nexus does go down as well. And I don't know that he knows there's no army here.
I don't think he realizes that there's so many units missing right now, and that is a very dangerous drop in your middle line. A few Stalkers at home, you know, have the potential to defend it. This micro going on. These Stalkers are going to have to pull back. The drop boost on into that main base. Has a little bit slow to respond. 2 Hellions and 4 Marines. A very fearsome probe-killing force there. These probes being lined up. Oh, the Hellions getting so much splash on them. And the Stalkers are forced to recall there. Only 4 probes have gone down so far, but so many are bruised. And that Hellion's still alive. Those probes are stacked. That Hellion looking so dangerous right now. So many probes in the deep orange and red.
Oh, no! It was just going okay, and they all lined up for a 8 probe destruction. And I'll tell you what, Time is taking some damage on the flip side, but I mean, unless it's not enough. 2 to 1 for Time with a shot of 1 Hellion. It worked so hard for that Pig.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Ballsy maneuver from Time, sending that drop across the map.
Yes.
But, you know, you can't just turtle up and step back against Haas. He got the bunker at home. He had the siege tank out. And that 1 Hellion blast, it was kind of funny. I was watching that worker kill tab, and I was like, oh, they're not actually going down. Haas is actually doing a very good job. And it's like, oh, that Hellion's still alive, though. And that one shot hitting the entire probe line, taking down 8 in one go.
And
absolutely
he kept giving
brutal.
it to him, though. He kept grabbing a bunch of probes, just kind of clumping them around, and it just led up to that moment in time. Well, with the series at 2 to 1 in favor of our Red Terran Time, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, can Has tie it up? We'll see.
we are back in the craziest series of today. It is Time versus Has. And it just keeps getting dirtier and dirtier. These players are down in the mud, and it is getting scrappy. It's getting chaotic.
Yeah, and Time is one game away from sending Has packing. With all his shenanigans, all his weird stuff, you can see that Time is very much so prepared for this opponent. Love the response. I think it's really underrated for us because we look at some of this in our calm kind of, just observing ways. And it seems like a lot of these equations are very simple, but for you in that game in the round of 16, playing for a spot at BlizzCon perhaps, or at least the pride of going further, it ain't so simple, but Time is executing very, very well and holding off the aggression of Has so far.
Well, let's see if he can keep doing it. We're launching now into map number 4. And up here in the top right-hand side of the map, introducing the Blue Protoss player, he is Has.
And giving a fantastic performance and showing off some skills we haven't seen so far from this part of the world. It's the Red Terran, Time. And what does Has do now? We have a probe going across the map, and of course that you would think to yourself that could just be a probe scout. Very often it is, but with him, oftentimes it mutates into something completely different.
Oh, I mean, this is such a fast pylon. It makes me think
that proxy gate?
Yeah,
you were thinking about it.
The barracks is just at home, though. It's just, it is a gas first, I believe, but, or a barracks gas, actually, I think. So, yeah, I mean, this is a very, straightforward defensive build where Time can get a unit out very early. Time, however, does not have a scout out on the map, so that second gateway is there. I mean, still hard to defend even with a normal build.
Yeah.
This rush basically aims to rally a Zealot across the map and then get a few Stalkers, one from home, one from this gateway, chrono boosted in. And because Terran often puts their expansion down on the low ground before scouting, suddenly they have this huge investment that's very exposed. So even if you're never going to crack the main, you can still get big damage done. And already stealing a second gas there is Has. You can even go super all in with this push and start building a massive shield batteries in front of their ramp and just try to bust through. If there's one person who's going to try to do that, it probably is Has.
Well, I was going to say if that gas steal tips off Time, it would show in the form of not taking the low ground natural, but Time is going to go ahead and do that anyways. And there's that Zealot that Pig was talking about coming across the map. Now, Pig, what about Marines first here? Because often we do see a Reaper come out, but in this case, it is going to be a Marine. Is that good or bad for Time in this defense?
The problem with it is it isn't going to be as maneuverable. That is TV. Just giving the Zealot a bit of a hug before he does brush past. Slows that down a second or two, might be impactful. But the Marine has, roughly similar damage output to a Reaper, but it does save a little bit more of that money to get the factory up nice and fast behind it.
Jeez Louise. Bad luck for Time here as the Marine actually just walks right past this. The first SCV will die.
Yeah, you
Stalker
definitely
also has the flank on top of that Marine, right? So if it comes up here to try and help out, it's just going to die for free.
That's a lot of SCVs being pulled, but I don't really think it's even enough here. I mean, the Stalker, the Probe, just going to micro down against that Marine. 2 more Marines do come out. Oh, the Probe gets the finishing hit on that Marine, but there's a Zealot chasing the Marine. Stalker's chasing the SCVs. Notice how Has is trying to target the SCV building the command center, but he was not able to do it, and as a result, he's realizing that CC is going to finish, so he's just got to kill as many workers, as many Marines as he possibly can.
The bunker does finish, but there's nobody to get inside of it, and now Time makes the right choice, and that is to just go up inside the main. He's got a factory that's got a Cyclone trying to come out there. A brain pause for me as Has throws everything he has at the top of the ramp.
Oh, wow. A Stargate already going down behind this as well. Has is preparing for a very, very quick transition. His economy is not going down super fast. The Nexus just starts now. But the question is, how does Time break out of here? And is he going to be ready for the Stargate pressure?
Wow. Has once again tries to poke to the top of the ramp. Now, he does only lose the 1 Stalker. I feel like he loses the strength of his army, but what he does see is the reaction from Time. And it is going to be that Cyclone. And only just now is that second gas getting targeted down as well, which is, again, information for Has. He's not seeing missile turrets. He's not seeing Widow Mines parking around. He's got to feel pretty good about that Oracle popping in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is always something which gives value, the Oracle. There's a Widow Mine out, so hopefully he doesn't fly into that, but it's going to give a lot of information. Time is forced into a position where you never want to be as the Terran. You're stuck in your base, you don't have any Liberators or Medevacs out, there's not a lot of pressure you can put on, but you also don't have information. I don't think Time knows about the expansion, has no idea, is it just another big all-in that's going to hit? And he's got to just weigh up, well, I can't cover every option, I've got to skip something. Maybe I'll skip on the detection, maybe I'll skip the anti-air, but there's a good chance he gets caught out by something.
And it is going to be Cloaked Banshee, which this is the nice thing about Oracle opening is it gives you a really good chance to at least scout that out. So even if he doesn't kill a bunch of SCVs, if he dives inside that main base or uses it as a spotter for the Stalkers, it's a very good chance he'll see what this tech is. And Banshees really rely on not being scouted to get their damage done.
Yeah, they're definitely one of those units where we've seen some very high-level Terrans find a way to sort of just kind of maneuver them around the map, even once they've been scouted. They kind of force a reaction, get something, but the dream is to not have your opponent see it until two Cloak Banshees are in the mineral line massacring their workers. Finally, we are seeing these workers moving down, the Marines and the Cyclones. The Stalkers, though, take a few Marines and an SCV out.
Yeah.
And the Oracle.
Buying a lot of attention. Where's that Oracle?
Oh, he waited for two of them as well. Haas is going to dive into the main mineral line. There's nothing there. The Widow Mine does get a shot off. One Oracle goes down. The Widow Mine does get taken down in revenge. The Stalkers forcing the Marines and Cyclones to stay at the front. What a beautiful combo. The Stalkers were never going to break the front, but they forced the defense to stay there, and that alone is massive. The Oracle there just going to fight that Cyclone, but the mass repair will be a little bit too much. He comes back in on the front at the same time.
Oh no, all the Marines except for one dies, and now the Stalkers are unleashed. The tank, of course, has the damage to do something here, and Has going to make the wise choice to back out. It's going to cost him. Two Stalkers die in that last volley, but 9 SCVs do perish as the Oracle is able to make its way out of there, and here comes that Cloak Banshee, and it is, it's just spotted instantly.
Haas is all over this game. That proxy gate getting such a good start off for Haas. And Time, I mean, he's just inching along, bloodied and bruised at 28 workers. He's got just so little production, no upgrades. The Banshee being stopped, I mean, Time is out of options at this point. This other Banshee can try and hide it, hopefully get it in and kill a few workers. But he's just got to play a very long game, and he's decided the third command center and just kind of waiting it out, turtling up might be the answer. But at this point, Haas is massively, massively favored.
Absolutely. Way up in workers, and like you pointed out, the faster third even. And I do like the choice for the Forge and Twilight Council behind this. So he's not all inning on Stargate or something like that crazy right now, but there is nothing in this mineral line, by the way. And that's just the kind of risk that Time had to take. He can't turtle up too much and really like cover all your bases, because when you're behind like this, it just ends up being a loss anyways. But the Banshee shows up. Now look what the shield battery does. When it's just the one Banshee, it has the toughest and most difficult path to trying to kill probes. I'm trying to say anything but Time.
It takes so many shots to actually get through, because you're only doing about 4 damage a shot. So it takes 5 volleys rather than just 2 to kill a probe. Makes you far less effective. But now the energy's out. It's starting to rack up quite a few there.
Yeah, I guess there's no recall, huh?
Yeah, and Haas not having any detection there at the moment. The Phoenix coming back, the Oracle's not quite having 50 energies though.
Oh my gosh.
This is what I talked about. Sometimes the Banshees do come back and get some damage.
Well, is this the Banshee with the damage, or is this a severe mass play by Haas? Like, you get the first Banshee.
Maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
A little bit of both, yeah. I understand the logic of like, okay, I killed that first Banshee for free. There's no way they make a second one. But I mean, you think about like a Protoss, like if the first DT gets picked off, do you never make another DT? No, you make 36 more DTs until they eventually work. And here it is. This is the third attempt. But even still, Has is ahead in workers, has that really fast third. And it's a good thing he does, because the damage otherwise would have been pretty painful.
And Mass Blink is probably going to be the follow-up. We've seen Haas play this
there you go.
To about the 20-minute mark in some of his games. Haas apparently not watching that. Just missed this Banshee flying in.
Not the tightest of security at Camp Has, I would say. They're there, they know what they're supposed to do, but do they see it?
Well, Haas is the guy who leaves the front door to his apartment open to try and lure thieves in. Like, you know, he doesn't lock everything down. He wants to lure you into that messy scenario. And once again, a few probes going down here. A big army grouping up at the front, but this is a little bit nasty. 3 more probes do go down. The worker count very equal. Haas is still epically ahead in unit count, but is that mass unupgraded Zealot, Jeff? I think he thought he was making charge.
Oh my God.
But he made blink.
Well, blink finishes, and now he's doing charge.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Haz, by the way. Notice the production tab. No more probes being made because he's like, thank you for killing them because that's like 2 pylons I would have had to make. He is just, he's just very different, right?
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
is, he went from +1 attack. Now he's doing +1 armor.
Okay, I think this was actually on purpose, right? I think he just knows that he has such an army advantage. He wants to just win the moment time comes out of his wall in. And even with slow zealots, with the force fields, he can trap the army. I mean, it very well could
You
be a
have to build
mistake.
probes for that, though.
He's taking a 4th Nexus, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he'll transfer probes as his minerals mine out.
All right. Plan for the future. No, but I like you're right.
Yeah, it's a bad position for time because just the raw unit count you need to deal with this many zealots. Like when charge finishes, it's a massive power spike for Haas. And I think the funny thing is, time's scanning. He's really smart. He sees there's only 2 gases down. He sees there's not that much stuff. Even though this cute little maneuver damages some Widow Mines, it doesn't actually kill any. And if time just locks down the door and stays on 2 base, like, look, yeah, he knows who he's playing against. He scouts this. He's like, whoa, no way, dude. I'm not going to come down that ramp. He's just going to stay on 2 base for the next 5 minutes. Haas really should be adding some gases and getting Storm or a few more probes because every second that goes by, even though he has map control and the base advantage, he doesn't really have an income advantage right now, or only a very small one. So, I mean, we see time here feeling the pressure that Terran players feel to move out of the map. Oh, but he turns around very quickly. And the thing is, that's the mistake. Yeah. You don't need to pressure against Haas. Against any other Protoss player, you might need to. But get the Ghosts out, get the Widow Mine count up, and just keep your army together and take the slowest third of all time. And there's actually still somehow hope alive in this game for time.
Yeah, he can basically circle his base and missile turrets and sensory towers, get full upgrades, move out at 200. There's some Terran players that play that way. It's usually not very effective, but if you're playing against Haz, it might be what you have to do. Now, he's going to try to creep down here. These are all spotted, by the way. So the Widow Mines die, 2 die, and 1 gets damaged pretty heavily there, basically for free. Oh, Haz.
Yeah.
You can't, buddy. No way. He's thinking about it.
The bio is being a little bit overly conservative, meaning the Widow Mine shots aren't getting the value. You actually want to have a lot more Marines in front of the Widow Mines to force the Zealots to clump up, and then you start a step backwards so that you both minimize the splash and get the damage done. But time is worried about the force fields and the flank. So he's saying, look, I 100% lose if I get force fields behind my bio. Yeah. So he's being very careful. He's keeping the bio behind the mines, and that's the smart decision here. He's just being super careful, but he is going to move down now. Oh, no. Haas is going to pull the trigger. He's going to go up that ramp, but that is a death zone. You cannot break that ramp, Haas.
Well, he's learning that now. He's going to back away, but this is something that Pig was talking about. There's no Storm behind this. There's no Colossus. There's no splash damage whatsoever. It's got to be this fight right here.
Nice pickups. The Zealot flanks are coming in, but that is just too much bio. The upgrades even on either side, and time takes a 50 supply lead. Just reads his opponent's play perfectly, doesn't go on autopilot at all, and he says, I know what you're doing and I know how to respond to it perfectly. Only now does the Templar Archives go down. Haas just stuck in a one-track mind throughout that mid-game, just trying to force the issue, and time did not give him the opportunity.
He has an upgrade advantage. He was up 4 bases to 2, and how often do you see a Protoss be in danger of losing in that scenario? Now, Haz is not dead yet. The advantage he has going for him is, again, that tremendous income that he has been mining off of this. And I want to point out the medevac count, by the way, for a Terran player, not super high. So a couple of overstims, and this could really turn against him as well.
Stalkers and Zealots counterattacking across the map right now. Haas needs to buy time. He can't fight this army front on. He's got to pull time home, but time, I think, might have enough units to hold the main ramp. He's going to lose a lot of workers in his natural, though. Yeah, he's going to ferry back behind his wall in. Haas wants a base trade here. His Storm is almost ready. He's got Zealots hitting the third at the same time. That tank will not be able to defend that. The main base is being breached. Haas, despite this game going terribly awry, looks like he's being decisive enough. Suddenly, when put behind, he knows exactly what to do. Time is way slower to get in here with the base trade.
Pig, the Storm is about to finish here. If he's got some Templar and can land any Storms at all, that could actually turn this game in as a huge victory for him. I think it is just the one Templar so far, but this army that's out on the map for time is really, really scary.
A few High Templar landing those storms could be big. There are ghosts out, and there's still a very scary army for both sides. Those Widow Mine shots in the north of the base just took out about 6 or 7 zealots. A lot of Haas's army did go down, but the production has been breached. Haas's production still here for a moment, but one big zealot warp in. That might be all he needs. He's got Psystorm. He's got a few Stalkers to deal with the Liberators as well. And every second that goes by, Haas is able to build more units. He should not be engaging down there, though.
No,
a little bit of a misstep.
Yeah, he just kind of sloppily A-moves some units down there. The fight inside's going okay, but it's the micro battle that's occurring here where the Liberators are picking off some key units. It's this right here, though. Is there going to be any storms? He actually backed off. He's got the 2 Templar, but there are still ghosts out here, and if they can land any EMP or snipes here, it's it. The storm! Kind of a whiff. The first one's not great.
Oh, the EMP misses as well. One good storm goes down, takes out a bunch of the Marines. Of course, a lot of the bio will be able to heal itself up over time with these medevacs, and the Zealots going down. There's not enough firepower. Haas's production has been breached. He will not be able to defend his main base any longer. It is going to go into a base trade, and with no flying units out on the map right now for Haas, it could be a forced draw or a win. Time, I don't think he can lose this game anymore unless there's a Phoenix on the map.
Yeah, he's going to try to relocate to the middle over there. And his army's stronger, I really do have to say, for time. He is down a single armor upgrade, so that's kind of the... Well, actually, looking at that, it's a lot. It's going to come down to like the Liberators. If he can land EMP center mass on the Protoss army, it's lights out. He only does have the 4 medevacs, and 2 of which are really low in health. It's actually very close.
I mean, Time has to start thinking about the draw right now, because it's still a very scary Protoss army. It's scary for both sides.
Has money for a Nexus.
Oh, he does have money for a Nexus there. Okay.
And he and he has a bunch of probes too.
Yeah, yeah, he's got a few probes. All right, there we go. I mean, he's got ghosts, he's got EMPs. All the High Templar are gone off the map, right? So this is going to be very dicey. If the Liberators are sieged, there's no way to win this fight as Haas.
No.
If the Liberators are sieged...
Oh, he does have Storm.
Okay, a couple of Psystorms coming in there from the left-hand side. And these Liberator zones, the siege tank. Oh, very nice.
I think you got to pull back. You don't need to fight here.
Yeah.
I think
the EMP is huge all over the High Templar, and he's going to force the fight now. The Marines coming forward. Flanking
where did
High
that come
Templar.
from?
Very nice. He's just got to buy time. He's got to regenerate energy now. Those High Templar need to get more energy up. Time is going to take forever to get any production up. Both of them are. And the High Templar are the more powerful renewable resource here.
Yep.
If they can just renew energy, get a few more Psystorms, they should be able to do this.
And I think both these barracks will die as well.
Man, Haas was so far behind in this game as well after that. He was so far ahead and then so far behind. This has been a real seesaw. But down in the base trade, Haas is very, very on point. He's got a full base mining now. He can unsupply block himself very soon.
What's in the main base, by the way? Is it all depowered? Yes.
Yeah. But he's still got the tech. He can actually...
He has a Templar Archive.
He has a Templar Archives, yeah.
If he gets any gateways at all, he can actually just start making Templar.
Ooh, I mean, if he could even
take a 2 gas, so never mind.
That would be crazy. But definitely right now, it's just okay. Widowmine did get a shot off there, I believe.
Gotta declump the Templar, man.
Yeah.
Is it just the 1 ghost? If we could get the units tab up, by the way, that would be the
Yeah,
plan.
yeah. 3 High Templar versus 1 ghost. So definitely, a good couple of snipes, good couple of EMPs, good couple of storms could change the game. Widowmine's going to come in here and try to harass, and Time just seeing this, it puts the pressure on. He realizes, wait a second, I've got to try and deal with this. These Stalkers going to try and harass from the high ground. Very cute moves by Haas.
Yep, and it's a problem because it's going to be the whole army moving across the map, and he could actually just jump down and snipe that orbital, by the way, and really, again, have this game. Oh, Storm's landing on top of Liberators.
Oh, they're out of energy, though. They're out of energy. The High Templar just walked to their death.
Oh,
the Marine Marauder take them out. There's nothing that shoots up on this side of the map for Haas.
And he's running the Zealots.
Oh, no.
Getting free shots
here.
No.
Time finds the angle. He knows there is nothing to fight. The Liberators on this side of the map right now. Haas might have let this one slip away. He doesn't have any production up right now. He's trying to sneak his probes back to the north side of the map, realizing this base is going to be evacuated.
Gets 1 Liberator, but he's got the weaker army now, I feel like. He's actually running for good.
Yeah.
The probes went across the map, by the way. They're kind of making their way back up there. They're not mining.
Yeah,
this is just a duck, duck, goose game right now, and Haas is the goose.
Right now, things are getting very scrappy. There's still so many medevacs just able to heal this forever. Their ability to just heal nonstop is crazy. Now that the High Templar are gone, I mean, damaging the libs looked nice at the time, but it opened up those High Templar to go down. They were not being protected. Time gonna bring in a Liberator on the mineral line as well. The crisis management in this game has been off the chain. Those probes trying to evacuate and hide. Haas is just gonna try and play a very slow comeback. But honestly, that's a long time before that's gonna kick in. And I think our Terran player here is gonna realize something's up.
Just chasing these units across the map. Liberator count is just down to the 2, but as you point out, the Medivacs is the big concern for me. He can keep stimming and just keep up the aggression, and that army is so much stronger. He went up and took his natural again, by the way, which is a depleted base. So even when this finishes, I think it'll be kind of hard for Time to figure out that he has it, but the income that comes from that base is going to be really unimpressive.
Yeah, I mean, this command center is going to be lifted off. If he
could just
snipes
win.
that could be huge.
Where's the SCVs?
There is a barracks floating on the right-hand side in the dead space.
Oh, all right. Safe from that.
That command center taking a ton of damage, though. He's sending a Stalker to the high ground as well. It is burning right now. All the depots going down. Time took a long period over there on the left-hand side of the map to clean that up.
Oh,
And
it's on fire. Yeah, it's the barracks that's safe here.
Yeah. There's no way to eliminate Time because that barracks is out of reach until Haas rebuilds his tech and his Stargate. The crazy thing is Time has no idea. Look at Time's vision. The last place you would expect a Protoss player to re-expand is in his own natural.
He might think that he needs to go finish off the buildings, though, I guess.
Yeah, that's what might lure him up there. But for now, look at the way Haas is moving. He's just trying to keep him occupied. And Time is like, what are you doing? He's like, where is your economy? Where? Because he knows, because Haas hasn't been revealed, there has to be a nexus somewhere.
And he might find that nexus.
Oh, my lord.
Oh, that's interesting.
A single pylon in the main, Haas has his production back up. High Templar tech back up. He just needs to take double gas, which he's just taken on his natural. He's going to start mining those gases. He sent a probe into the main to repower it.
Templar.
Yeah, and then he can just warp in High Templar. It's going to be insane.
I mean, it's only 1 or 2 storms to absolutely win this game. That's actually the final SCV, by the way. So this game, at best... Well, I mean, Haas can still lose.
Yeah. Time can only win if he finds what's going on.
That's a Stargate right there.
Oh, my gosh.
He already has a Stargate.
Yeah, that's a game-winning. If he just gets out a single Phoenix, that alone can take down the barracks in the corner.
And Haas is shaving off some units here as well.
Wow. The madman Haas, he just knows how to play these down and dirty situations. I absolutely love seeing this. Just a player.
Oh my God, and he knows that's the final building. He knows that's the final building.
Yeah, he's been here before. He's going to be here again.
Haas is still not mining gas. Okay, there he goes. He just started, actually.
He realized immediately.
Oh my God. Oh no, he's
dumped it into the Void Ray. He's got that Void Ray chrono boosting. And finally, Time sees it and he goes, oh man, he's got to feel his heart.
He sees the Stargate. He has to know.
Oh, man. He knows he's on a timer. He's got to get up there. He has to cut off that Void Ray. The Marines are desperately
not
stimming.
The base, the Void Ray.
He's got to stop that Void Ray getting out. If those Marines don't get on top of that Stargate.
He doesn't know.
Oh, no. The Void Ray is out. The barracks is trying to flee for its life.
It just has to set fire to it.
The Stalkers are there as well. The Stalkers are going to dive on it.
Nothing can stop it. That's going to be it. Haas wins. Holy cow. What a weird game as Time taps out. And the base trade got weird. I'll tell you what, you make for some fun damn games, man. That was crazy.
That might be the first time I've actually seen Haas shake his head after a game and go, man, that was a crazy game.
He's like, even for me, that was really weird. I'll tell you.
Wow. Oh, man. I'm going to take my hat off to Haas as well, because there's that moment when he lost the High Templar.
Yeah.
Literally, the second those High Templar died, he knew that base was undefendable, and he pulled every probe around the left-hand side of the map into his old natural expansion and retook it, and that went unscouted for like 5 minutes. And it's just that ability to make that snap call under so much pressure. I don't know how he does it, but Haas is a genius, and he's taken it to Game 5. This is amazing.
Well, it's fun seeing his strengths carry him, right? Because it's been decision-making, it's been playing outside of the box. But to be very honest, in that game, there was an absolute metric crap ton of mistakes. There was a lot of really weird choices that could have thrown the game, could have cost him, and it very likely almost did. But then when it got down to the few scrappy units, and like you said, the really cunning decisions at that time, all of a sudden Haas really started to shine and drag this one back into the light and allowed us to go to a Game 5. It wasn't off the bat, like we just saw Showtime where it was like, amazing choice, great execution, bam, boom. This wasn't that. This was clever, unique, and like you said, crisis management. Really well done.
This is the sort of player Haas is. He commits very hard to his strategic choices, and sometimes you get a guy like Time who was so on top of his scouting last game. He refused to step into the many traps that Haas was laying for him until, of course, that base trade came around. So hats off to Time for surviving as long as he did, bringing it back into a lead. Did eventually slip away, but we are now going into the last final map. It's going to be Fracture, a smaller map, one of our new maps that has a lot of different crazy builds on it. It's going to be exciting. It's game number 5 to see who goes through to the WCS Montreal top 8.
If one of these two players will do it, and they're going to take a deep sigh, by the way, and tonight be like, wow, can't believe we just did that. But here we are, game number 5 on Fracture in the top left-hand side, making for a super fun game in the previous one. To come back and win it, it's the blue Protoss Has. Does he have enough magic to do it again?
Standing in his way down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, in the red, our Terran representative, he is Time.
I mean, that last game, by the way, we could sit and talk and think about that, I feel like, for a week. There were so many weird little moments. I loved your call about Time pretty much recognizing, hey, I just sit back here, I get some ghosts, I really slowly push out to a third, and that seems to be the order. But it's just such a weird game behind that, because Has up on 4 bases, so you can feel the pressure normally for Time, where it's like, well, hey, if he's got 75, 80 probes, 2 forges going, there's no world where I win this game. Little does he know, behind that it's 53 probes, 1 forge, kinda, and no splash damage. Like, Has is such a weird player. You have to just scout everything, and even then you have to kind of question yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like it is going to be a proxy build again this time around. A very fast Gateway and Cyber Core coming down. And looks like he is indeed going to be going for what I would assume be his proxy Immortal Bust.
Yep.
That is such a powerful build. And when you see it built this close to the natural, it's because he wants that Immortal to come out very early and Adept to spot the high ground and so on. But he's up against the same build as game 1 in their series with the Marine into a very fast Factory. So this is such an odd situation.
Oh.
And that Marine is going to take that down. Yeah, Factory is spotted, but the Robo's already on the way here. And that's it. It's going to be this build where actually it's Stalker first. So, okay, the Adept, of course, more important for spotting the high ground against someone who's expanding. But against someone who's building Cyclones very early, you just want as many good fighting units as possible. Stalkers, Immortals, probably getting a Prism out very fast. Haas is going to be trying to bust through this ramp.
Oh.
And Widow Mines. Time doesn't have a lot of information, though, right now. I mean, he knows there's very fast units coming across the map. He has not spotted the proxy just yet.
Oh, it's getting close. The SCV. It's going to see it.
It's going to see it, yeah.
And then it goes to the natural, probably sees the pylon there as well. And then all of a sudden, this whole game for Time becomes holding the high ground and defending.
Yeah,
Widow Mine into tank, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunker already there. Ooh, the Widow Mine's going to look for it. It's going to look for this. But nice reaction. As sees that line, tracking onto his Stalker, moves to the right, just out of range there. Shield batteries are about to start up. So yeah, he's going to just try and bust this. There we go. Marines are going to try and move down to fight this. That probe, though. Oh, it goes down. Very nice focus fire. Time has been so on top of that. And look at this. The Widow Mine says, hey, if you want to fight those Marines, you're cornered. And just zones that out. And this is huge. This is going to do really, really well.
He can't save it.
I think he's going to sacrifice the Immortal Barrier. Yeah.
He'll do that. And he gets the Widow Mine, but the shields will finish without the ability to actually do anything until this Warp Prism or another probe gets over here.
Yeah, and that's going to take a while here. Without the high ground vision as well, no Adept, no Prism.
I love the Viking call here, by the way.
If
you can't see the high ground, you cannot hurt me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism seem pretty much invincible until 1 Viking arrives, and it says, no, you need to leave Warp Prism right now. You weren't invited to this party.
This pig. How weird is this?
Wow.
It's like exactly the right call, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to lose everything.
Oh, he picks the Immortal up and it dies inside the Warp Prism. The Viking does its job, even though the Siege Tank does go down. I mean, the hungry Immortals may have managed to kill a Siege Tank, but it died in the process. And now what's the position for Haas? You've got a single Stalker and a shield battery containing the Terran. You're going into Stargate Tech behind it. You do have the Observer. That's important. He sees the command center. He's going to see the defensive layout. but I think Haas will need to expand in the near future. Just Immortals and Phoenix on one base is a very awkward situation to be in.
Phoenix is the right call, though. It's not super amazing ideal. If he goes for an Oracle after already seeing a couple of Vikings out, the likelihood of that doing much is very, very little. And it is just the one Phoenix so far, so I almost wonder if he's actually even going to bail out of that idea. No, it is an Oracle.
Interesting,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm you know, it's so fun to commentate Haas. It really is.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what's happening, and I sound like it.
His strategies, it's a very, very large box of chocolates, and you really never know which one you're going to get, Jeff.
Truer words. Now, Time is playing this very defensively, and that might look weird, but honestly, that's what you do here. You can't get too terribly defensive, and he does want to pick off that Observer pretty quick, because all this information is doing a lot for Haz. He sees the expansion timing. He knows he's behind in that, but not so far behind. If that was like the third orbital, it would be really, really rough. But, you know, he's in the ballpark. Yeah, this is 3 Vikings, by the way, which is kind of a...
Yeah, it's like this weird kind of... The Terran has all these fancy tech units, which are very good at defending and blocking a committed assault. But they're very bad at moving across the map and creating threat on the Protoss side of the map. And that usually is taken advantage of by a Protoss player probing up very hard. But of course, Haas has delayed his expansion a lot. He is now probing relatively, you know, continuously. But he's building Oracles. And Oracles, I mean, stasis traps will be nice if they land, but there's a Raven on the way. It's going to be able to scout those. I'm actually very worried because I feel like a stimulus Marine push could potentially even end the game. Just like 10, 15 Marines, a few SCVs to build bunkers. Yep. You've got the Vikings, you've got the siege tanks, you've got this Raven, which is, I mean, what do you got? You've got power units for Protoss. Immortals will get locked down by that interference matrix. This is going to be really tough if Time chooses to push across the map.
I think he's going to try a backdoor with 2 Oracles, which could be a really, really nice call. The barrier gets hit off by that the tank, excuse me. And this is going to be a safe natural. There's not much that he can do here. Can Haas. Is this actually a 3rd Oracle joining, by the way? Nope, it's a Phoenix. Which can grab the mine, which I thought I heard burrowing maybe in the mineral line.
I think there's something on the left of here. I think there is actually that widow. Yeah, it's on the corner. Right. It's actually waiting just for this. Time sees into the future. And he knows there's a good chance of either a Warp Prism or an Oracle coming in from that angle. Stim is now starting up as well as the 3rd barracks on the way. And wow, okay. He's going to dodge the Widow Mine as well. Going to dive into that undefended mineral line.
Gosh.
3 Oracles, of course, able to one-shot SCVs. He's going to take out at least 3 or 4, but hey, that's 3 Vikings. He's got to get out of dodge, and 1 Oracle does fall for that little bit of damage. 5 worker kills, not bad.
I think he's pretty okay with this, though. He gets a full look at the entire main base. He does kill some SCVs. And then he sees the 3 Vikings, which is, I mean, he already saw that, I guess, but it's worth it. It's just a good scan of the base. Now, again, ideally, he kills an entire mineral line of SCVs, obviously. But behind this, what is Haz's reaction? We got a War Prism coming out and a Twilight Council.
Yeah, he's starting that Twilight Council. He warped in a few Zealots, but they're unupgraded, and that's the scary thing. That Twilight Council timing. Like, yes, Stim and Shields is late in this game. Charge is going to be even later. He needs to go directly into Charge. If he makes Blink first, I will be very upset, especially with 3 more Zealots warping in. But yeah, it's just going to be really tough. He needs Charge, and he's going for more Phoenix. So this is going to be a real mobile army that looks to jump on top of the Terran and just collapse on it very, very quickly. Don't let the siege units get up.
And to your point, though, there's a huge kind of window of time here where Time's army is going to be significantly more powerful. Phoenix are okay, but they're especially good when they're backed up by a ground army. When there's just slow Zealots and a couple of Stalkers behind that, maybe 1 Immortal, that's not much. Now he's going to jump back on this mineral line, but that's a missile turret there, which shuts down this entire thing. He'll get a Widow Mine, but it's in exchange for a Phoenix, which he is reinvesting into a little bit.
He's going to go for the combat shields, and quick pull on the repair. And at least a few SCVs. One SCV goes down, forces a bit of lost mining time, but does want to keep those air units alive for utility. Charge is now about halfway done. The Forge is only just finishing up. The 3rd base is halfway done. Haas's macro transition definitely on the slower end of these.
He's only adding 1, 2. I mean, he's going to add a few gateways, but the thing about Fracture is this is a really tiny map. So
yeah, the push is
coming.
Third
base gets spotted. The Robo's killed. There's no gas to the natural. He knows he's facing a bunch of Zealots, but even then, sure, let's give him Charge. Maybe he'll have that by then, but that's it. It's just a bunch of unupgraded Zealots.
Where's Todd when you need him right now? Look at the army supply. It is just insane. Time has all the pieces ready. The gateways are just finishing. He's not ready to take this fight. Charge isn't quite done. It's just 8 seconds from finishing, and the entire army just gets obliterated. Time manages to weather the storm of Haas. closes out the series 3-2 after a couple of very, very tense games.
Very fun series, and has once again showing us why he's one of the more fun and exciting players. A nice run for him in the round of 16, but it will be cut short by this player right here, Time, who's able to go ahead and survive the onslaught of weirdness that is Has. And he's been doing it all tournament long with some really good decision-making, great execution. Obviously, when things got a little bit sloppy, it got sloppy, but at the end of the day, he got it where it counts. He wins 3-2.
A very action-packed series from both players. The games were dicey for both players at multiple parts, and it was definitely one where we saw a new build there in the meta for Time, and some impressive games from him. Sue, take it away.
Thank you very much, Pig. Congratulations, Time. You're moving on to the quarterfinals, and I know this is your first time in the quarterfinals at a WCS event, so what does this moment mean for you?
恭喜你 Time， 这次是你第一次在 WCS 进入了8强，你现在感受是怎么样的？
我其实还挺激动的嘛，因为当时其实到海选都没有想到能够晋级到正赛，然后现在能晋级到8强，感觉有点不可思议吧。
Actually, I am still very hyped because from group stage number 3 all the way to group stage number 1, all the way to round of 16, and all the way to round of 8, I can't believe this is happening.
Well, this series against Haas was so entertaining to watch, and it was so crazy, especially that game number 4 had so much action going on. How was it for you? How difficult was it to play against Haas?
这一个跟 Haas 的比武是非常惊险，也是非常激动人心的。在特别是第4局的时候，你跟 Haas 的换家，你这些动作和你自己的反应，你觉得你怎么样？
其实第4盘输掉对我的心理还是有点波动的，因为我觉得第4盘我其实应该已经赢了，然后但是被他翻盘了，但是最后战术执行力，最后一盘的战术算是执行出来了，然后正好也很克他的战术，所以万幸拿下了比赛。
So I was actually a little bit disappointed that I did not win Game 4. I should have took it, but in Game 5, I restarted my mood and I decided, hey, it's a new game, and I went through with my build, and it actually countered Haas's build, so it went out perfectly, and I won Game 5.
Now with this victory, you are moving forward to the round of 8, and that next match is going to be a Terran. So how do you feel about your Terran versus Terran?
在接下来的8强赛中，你将会进行再次的 TVT。对于 TVT 这个对抗，你觉得应该怎么看？
其实因为我和 Special 就一直在韩国练习，然后和 Galazor 也一样，所以我觉得我对我 TVT 还是挺有自信的。然后希望下一场既然都到8强了，那就进4强。
So I have been training with Special in Korea, and as well before I went into groups. Round of 16, I have won against Galazor, and since, hey, I'm in round of 8, might as well make it to round of 4.
Awesome to hear. Well, congratulations again. Thank you so much, Frank, for the translations. And with that, Time will be moving on to the round of 8.
Quite the accomplishment after a gnarly StarCraft series as Time manages to tick the clock against Haas and pull this series out. What a wild ride this best of 5 was.
I mean, that's what StarCraft was meant to look like. When David Kim gave us StarCraft 2, this is what he envisioned.
Can we get him off the desk?
We want him out of the green room, man. Like, just want him out of here.
I just want to say, watching that series was fantastic. Watching that series with Roddy nearby is possibly the greatest thing in the world.
Y'all think I was hating. Man.
Some salt was flowing, not only in the Twitch chat, but even in the commentary room behind the scenes. I mean, that's just the stuff of nightmares. That set was ugly, it was brutal, it was vicious.
It was a perfect orchestra with everyone playing just so pitch perfect. I couldn't ask for anything
It's like
more.
the worst analogy ever.
All right. Well, Time's going to end up playing a TVT next. Loved his answers in the interview. Seems confident and seems to really be enjoying where he is in his performance.
Yeah, well, it's something he should be really proud of. I mean, the Chinese representation for like a couple years at this point. There was a time when there was a lot of them. but like it just really isn't recent. So I'm glad that he seems confident. I'm glad that he definitely. I love that he brought up these training with Special in Korea, because I brought up the whole Korean thing too, and I think he's a really good shot against a Terran.
Special's a particularly good player in TvT. We're going to take a look at the bracket, catch y'all up to speed as we've been cruising through these matches. A good long one there. That was time. We'll await the winner of our next series. That will be a TvT between Semper and Hero Marine. Semper, who has only played Terran versus Protoss in this tournament and managed to get all the way this far, beating the likes of Neeb. But Big Gabe is going to be a hard ask for Semper.
I think Semper is absolutely a massive underdog in this series. I think a lot of people will be surprised if Semper is able to take this. I know he's still confident in his TvT, but even he is kind of feeling a little bit nervous about the match. We'll see how he actually is able to turn things around, turn those nerves into solid play, because TvT is an unforgiving matchup if you make any mistakes.
It's quite brutal. Final thoughts, Zombie Grub?
I think that Hero Marine does particularly well in this matchup, so I think Semper has like a 5% chance to win.
All right, well, whoever takes that one time will have plenty of time to prepare for that series. So we're going to go to a break, and when we return, it'll be Semper versus Hero Marine.